Good morning, class. This is Mrs. Gonzalez. Happy Tuesday. I hope you all had a wonderful 3-day weekend, and hopefully you got the opportunity to sharpen the saw and relax. And now we're back. So welcome back. I just want to introduce a new unit that we will start today. It's called our poetry unit, and I am assigning it all to you today. However, I want you to follow the agenda and just do one type of poem per day, the way we have it set up on the at-home instruction agenda. Because otherwise, if you try to move ahead, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, and poetry is something that you must take your time. You can't rush through it, okay? So the poem for today, the type of poetry that you will be working on today is called Tanka. Tanka is a Japanese poem, and it's very similar to the haiku. You also have to do a little bit of syllable counting, and you have to be very careful that you meet certain criteria. So let's go over what a Tanka is. So your assignment is already assigned on Google Classroom, and you are doing it via Kami. So make sure that you understand how to use Kami. I know a lot of you have used it in the past with your turn, but I know there were a few of you that had issues. But it's very simple. And you should all have access to Kami now because everyone at Janssen, it was upgraded or extended for everyone at Janssen. So this is your sidebar here. You want to use this throughout your assignment. Probably the most important thing that you will be using is going to be the text box here. So make sure you click on text box, and this is going to allow you to type. Now, this is markup. This is to highlight. So what I have to do is highlight a little bit more. So let's go ahead and read the instructions. Excuse me. The tanka is another syllable counting. It is a Japanese poem. You can highlight that. It is very similar to the haiku, but the tanka contains 5 lines and 31 syllables. Okay, so as you notice, I did highlight these two things, very important. The line syllable pattern is 5-7-5-7-7. So this is the pattern that you will be using, okay? And I'll explain what that means in a minute. Nature is also the theme in tankas. Excuse me. And it is important to capture an image in your poems. Here's an example of a tanka. The summer dancers dancing in the midnight sky, waltzing and dreaming, stars glisten in the night sky. Wish upon a shooting star. So if you noticed here, what I did is I added the numbers because this is a line. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like it says here, you have to make sure you have 5 lines or verses. We learned that lines are called verses, and a total of 31 syllables. Now the way that these syllables are going to be broken down, this is very important. It is 5-7-5-7. So your first line should have 5 syllables. Your second line should have 7 syllables. Your third line should have 5 syllables. And then your fourth line should have 7 syllables. And finally, your fifth line should also have 7 syllables. So let's check this out. Let's try to see if this makes sense. Excuse me. Line number 1. The summer dancers. 5 syllables. Okay. Line number 2, you should have how many syllables? 7 syllables. Dancing in the midnight sky. Now here you notice we have 7 syllables. Now line number 3 goes back to how many syllables? 5 syllables. Waltzing and dreaming. That's 5. And then we have line 4, line 4 should have 7 syllables now. Stars glisten in the night sky. And finally, line number 5 should be exactly like number 4 and have 7 syllables as well. Wish upon a shooting star. Now, if you counted with me, you'll notice that out of it was a total of 31 syllables, but you have to be strategic and make sure you follow this pattern. So again, the first line should have 5 syllables. The second line should have 7 syllables. The third line should have 5. The fourth line should have 7. And the fifth line should have 7 syllables. And you can go in there and write that if you want, if that's going to help you remember. So this one should have 5 syllables. Line 2 should have 7. Line 3 should have 5. Line 4 should have 7. Seven syllables. And your last one, another 7 syllables. So there's our pattern, 5, 7, 5, 7, 7. And another very important thing that I highlighted here is that nature should be the theme. So this is a good opportunity for you to go outside and spend a little bit of time in your backyard. If you don't have a backyard, look outside your window. And if you just can't even look outside your window, then take a few minutes to close your eyes and imagine a nature scene. Maybe a park. What do you see? Do you see a tree? Maybe you see a squirrel, maybe birds chirping. What do you see out in nature? And you can just do this, from inside your house if you just can't get outside, or look out the window and just imagine it in your mind. Okay, so 4 things that you need to remember. Number 1, it has 5 lines. It's right here, 5 lines. Number 2, it's 31 syllables total. Number 3, it follows the 5, 7, 5, 7, 7 syllable pattern. This is what we went over here. Okay, and finally, number 4 has to be about nature. Okay, so nature theme. Now, your assignment is to write 2 Tanka poems. Now, remember, I'm going to highlight this. Make sure to count your syllables closely. Okay, just like I did. Make sure that you do that. That's really, really important, because if you don't have the proper syllables, or if your pattern is incorrect, then it's no longer a Tanka. Now you kind of made it into a free verse, or you made it your own. So you want to make sure that you write 2 Tankas, you follow these instructions, and you're going to write your Tanka poems here. Okay, you have a line sheet of paper. You just go to text box to type, and you start writing. So again, before you even start writing, I want you to go outside. I want you to spend time in nature. And then if you can't go outside for whatever reason, picture it in your mind and take your time with this. I can't wait to read your poetry. Thank you guys for making sure that you watch this video. And if you have any questions, please email me or send me messages on Google Classroom or Class Dojo. Okay, guys, take care. Happy Tuesday. Make it a great day.